Shabbat Shalom and welcome to all of you who are with us. Some of you are members of our congregation, our regulars. Some of you are guests to Beth-El. We want to welcome you, Bruchim Habaim, to this place. Some of you may be guests to visiting a synagogue or guests to Judaism. You are here with us this morning, as are friends and family at home who may not have been able to make the trip. I want to thank Mark Sloter, who's a part of our group that makes sure these services stream out so that people around the country can watch this service. And although we ask you not to use your phones and not to take pictures, if you have a family member who wanted to watch it, you can, for this one moment, say to them, go to BETHELFW, that's BethelFW.org. And if they type that in and go to our website, they will see on the left upper corner of our webpage a link that says live stream here. And they will be able to watch Gabe as he leads us in Shabbat worship. If they miss it, know that this will be on our YouTube page, and the Caplans will be able to tell you how to get there forever. So anytime, late at night, if you want something comforting, there will be Gabe leading us in worship. So you are with us at home and here for our Saturday morning service. Part of what Gabe does today is leads us in prayer. To become a bar mitzvah is a son of the commandment. And actually, you don't have a bar mitzvah, although we might have them. You become a bar mitzvah. When you are 13, you take your place as a leader of the Jewish people. We know there have been health complications, medical situations. So why now? Because part of becoming bar mitzvah is showing that you have gained the skills to lead the congregation in worship. Skills that Gabe will take with him the rest of his life whenever he wants to turn to those skills. And so we thank his family for their patience. And even with all of the challenges, we are here this day for him to lead us in a Saturday morning worship service. So in the first part of our service, we will lead in many of the prayers that are part of a regular Saturday morning. Later, we'll take the Torah from the Ark and read from it, a little bit more about the important, powerful significance of that moment a little later in the service. But first, we gather together, Shabbat Shalom, a couple of things. We will be using Mishkan Tefillah, our prayer book. There are two versions of Mishkan Tefillah, one thicker than the other. They all have the prayers, but if you open the prayer book and you say, hey, there are two page numbers, I will always be referring to the one in italics. Honest with the Bima, keeping an eye on things in the back is John Salve, our director of music. Hans Grimm, who has led us with accompaniment so much these past years. Angie Friedman, one of our musicians and singers and tutors. And you have gone to work with Angie for how long, roughly?
2 years.
2 years. Okay, it wasn't planned that way. That's not the usual thing. But you have gotten to get to know Angie really well. And Angie, it's always a pleasure to have you with us. This is the last Shabbat of the Jewish year. And for those of you who are not Jewish, you're saying, what? It's Labor Day weekend. The Jewish year is lunar. It shifts a little. This is the end. Our Jewish New Year is on Monday night. So when we open the Ark where the Torah scrolls are kept, you'll notice a couple of things. You'll notice that they are covered in white, a sign of purity and our hope that we can change and find our better selves. And Gabe's speech, which was not really written with the Jewish New Year in mind, talks about gratitude and change. It actually becomes the most appropriate teaching any of us could give on the final week of the last Jewish year. And so Gabe will be our ambassador, if you will, our boatman, who brings us from a year that challenged us to what we hope will be a year of gratitude and blessing. And we begin it with gratitude for you. And so we begin our Shabbat service by letting go of the week. Maybe someone honked at you on the drive over. Maybe you forgot your cup of coffee. Maybe you forgot to put on 2 matching socks. Whatever it is, it's Shabbat. And we are here in this beautiful place. The sun is streaming through our beautiful stained glass windows. Maybe for some of you a little stronger than you wanted, but that too will pass. And we just say how beautiful, how wonderful, how precious, Ma Yafeh Hayom, is this Shabbat day.
Shabbat Shalom, Ma Yafeh
Turn to page 297. And on page 297, we read together these words that speak of the joy of embracing Torah and all the teachings it represents. Please read with me. Adonai, our God, make the words of your Torah sweet to us and to the house of Israel, your people, that we and our children may be lovers of your name and students of your Torah. We praise you, O God, teacher of Torah to our people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, hamlamed Torah le'amo Yisrael. And on the next page, a passage compiled from the Talmud, a little more recent than the Torah, but still 1800 years ago, that speaks about the ways that we sanctify our days. It serves as a reminder for each new morning about how we hope to live our lives and the deeds we hope will define us. Feel free to read with me. These are things that are limitless, of which a person enjoys the fruit of the world, while the principle remains in the world to come. They are honoring one's father and mother, engaging in deeds of compassion, arriving early for study morning and evening, dealing graciously with guests, visiting the sick, providing for the wedding couple, accompanying the dead for burial, being devoted in prayer, making peace among people. But the study of Torah encompasses them all. On the next page, on page 312, several pages later, we turn to the Chatzi Kaddish. This prayer serves as a reminder that we are moving from one section of the service, preparatory prayers to waken our insides as well as our outsides, into the next sections of the service with the Baruch Hu and the Shema, the call to prayer. These prayers move us on the ladder, if you will, so we are ready when we come to the reading of Torah.
Yikadov, Yikada, Shemei, Rabba, Biama, Divra, Hirute, Viam, Leaf, Malhute, Bechayehon, Uvyomechon, Uchaye, Jehobe, Yisrael, Bagala, Bagala, Uvizman, Karib, Fimeru, Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabba Mevora, Leom Me'el Maya, Yidbara, Yidbara, Visheva, Vikar, Vitrama, Vinase, Vitadar, Vitale, Vitalal, Shemedi Kudisha, Brihu, Leola, Miho, Hata, Bashir, Hata, Tush Behata Nechemata Damiram Be'amam Vimeru. Amen. Please rise. Baruch et Adonai Hamivora.
Baruch Adonai Hamivora Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai Hamivora Leolam Vaed. Praise Adonai, to whom praise is due forever. Praise be Adonai, to whom praise is due now and forever. The world is sunlight, restoring the soul, rejoicing the heart, bringing light to the eyes, more welcome than gold, a Torah from heaven. I have no light to give the morning, my Torah, my special human gift is words. As I bring my words forth from silence, welcome them, you who redeems the sun from darkness. Baruch atah Adonai Yotzer Hamarot. We continue on the next page. Together. God of all creation, you are blessed with each soul's breath. Your greatness and goodness fill the world. Knowledge and understanding surround your glory. Holiest are you among the holy, seated in glorious splendor, radiating purity and justice.
bestowing loving kindness.
In
Knowledge and understanding, you created the heavenly lights, giving them strength and power to bring light into the world.
Full of splendor, they radiate brightness. The world is warmed by their flames. We rejoice in their comings and goings, reflecting the will of their Creator. Glory and honor they give to you, glowing praises to your rule. You call to the sun and it gives forth light. You set the patterns of the moon. You are honored throughout the heavens with songs of glory and praise. Ahava Rabba Avtanu Adonai Eloheinu Em Lagid Olam Torah Amalta Aleinu Ba'avor Avotenu Ve'imotenu Shebachu Becha Shebachu Becha Avotenu v'imotenu, v'atonenu kechayim, k'tilonenu ulamenu, harachem, rachem aleinu, v'tein b'libeinu lehavim, lehavim l'chaskil lishmoa, Lishmor v'lasot, ukayem et kol divrei Talmud Toratecha be'ahava, v'ha'erinenu b'toratecha, v'dabek libeinu b'mitzvotecha, v'yached levavenu, Le'ahava u'yira et shemecha, v'lo nebush, v'lo nikalem, v'lo nikashel, le'olam va'ed, ki v'shem kodshecha, Hagadol v'hanora b'tahnu, Nagila v'nishmecha, Nagila v'nishmecha Yeshuatecha. Responsively, O God, inspiration and guide for all, you have spoken in 1,000 tongues for us to hear. In every land and every age, your children have heard you and imagined you in separate ways. And yet, O God, you are one unifier of humanity.
We give thanks for the sages and teachers who bring us understanding of your will. Gratefully recall the lawgivers and prophets, psalmists and sages of Israel, and joyfully remember that from the dawn of Israel's life, we would turn to you and find purpose.
May the teachings of our ancestors live on in our minds, and their passion for righteousness stir our hearts. Help us to live so that our daily conduct reveals the beauty and wisdom of your truth. Baruch atah Adonai haboher b'yamo Yisrael be'ahava. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Blessed is God's glorious majesty forever and ever. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. You may be seated. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anohi mitzavecha hayom alevavecha Vishinatam livaneha, vidivarta bam, vishiteha, viveteha, uvleteha badire, uvshokbeha, ukumeha, ukshartam leot ayadeha, vihayulatotafo beneneha, uktatam, almezizo beteha, uvishareha, lamantis keru, vehasitem et kol mitzvotai, vehitem hiroshim leelohehem, ani Adonai Elohehem, asher hotietem me'eretz Mitzrayim, lihiot lahem leelohehem, ani Adonai Elohehem. We continue on page 321. Sing the song of men and women, join in understanding and respect, the song of God's miracles, an earth protected and cherished, a gift for our children and the generations to come, the song of a land once ravished by war, now quiet and content, her soldiers home to leave no more, the song of a world redeemed, the song of peace. Mi hamoha ba'elim Adonai, mi hamoha nedar ba'kodesh, no ra tehilot, o seifele, no ra tehilot, o seifele. Shira hadashah, shihu ge'olim, lishimha, al sfat hayam, yahad kulam, hodu vehim lehu, Adonai lo, Adonai lo, leolam vaed. Please rise. Adonai, sefatai tifta, ufia gite hiloteha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rahel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el, Hagadol, Hagivor, v'Hanorah, El Elyon, Gomel Hasadim Tovim, V'Koneh Hakol, V'Zoher Hasdei Avot V'Himot, Umevi Gula M'nei V'Vehem, Lema'an Shemo V'Ahava, Melech Ozer U'Mashiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Abraham V'Ezrat Sarah. Atah Givor Le'olam Adonai, Mehayeh HaKol atah Rava Hoshia, Mehakel Hayim Behesed, Mehayeh HaKol Berahami Ramim, Zomeh Noflim V'Rohe Nolim, Umatir Asurim, Umechayim Emunato, Lishnei Afar, Miha Moha Ba'el Givuro, Umido Mela, Melech Memit, Umehaye, Umatz Miyad Yeshua, V'neimar atah leho yod leho akol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mehaye HaKol. Together, you are the open door that beckons me in, peeking around the doorframe. I begin to enter into your glory. You move me forward, O eternal, to step beyond self-made boundaries. Lift my foot over the threshold, that I might abide with you. In the house of the eternal, I found my questions, waiting to be posed. They filled me with wonder. Sit with me, eternal teacher. Encourage my seeking. As I fill my hours with your mitzvot, so shall I be filled. Send me through your door, stretching up to honor your name, sharing out this wonder, enriching myself
in the giving.
Baruch atah Adonai mehaye hakol. Nikadesh et shemcha ba'olam. Kishem shekashishim oto b'shem hara. Kakatu ha'yaniyecha. V'kara ze el ze v'amar. Kadosh, kadosh, kadosh. Adonai Sivaot. Melech kol haaretz. Kivodo. Adir, Adirenu Adonai, Adonenu Madir Shemcha b'chol haaretz. Baruch Kivod Adonai Mikomo. Echadu Eloheinu, Hu Avinu Malkeinu, Hu Moshienu v'Hu Yashmienu. B'raham le'nei kol chai. Ani Adonai Elohechem. Yimloch Adonai le'olam. Elohai Yitzchion. Ledor vador. Hallelujah. Ledor vador nagid kol lecha. Netzach netzachim kedushacha nagish. V'shichacha Eloheinu mipinu lo yamush le'olam ba'ed. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. You may be seated. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam b'ritolam. B'nei Uven b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam b'ritolam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim ve'et ha'aretz. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam b'ritolam. Uvayom hashvi Shavat vayinafash, Shavat vayinafash, Shavat vayinafash. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam b'ritolam.
On page 330, we continue responsively. On this Shabbat day, as you graciously receive our prayers, help us to hear your call. Grant us enough health to fulfill our duties and the compassion we need to attend to others. Teach us humility that we might perceive our own faults, and grant us the wisdom to be forgiving of others. Give us the courage to be true to our highest selves and the charity to see the best in those around us. Give us patience enough not to become discouraged, hope enough to overcome all fears for the future, faith enough to know your presence. O source of blessing, look with favor upon us. May our offerings be acceptable to you. We praise you, Adonai, whom alone we serve in reverence. Baruch atah Adonai. On the next 4 pages, you can take time to read Hebrew, English, to reflect, to just look at the windows, to take a moment to ground yourself in this moment and at this time of celebration.
and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you. Adonai, 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 my rock and my redeemer.
We have moved through a ladder, I like that imagery of prayers, preparing us not only to ascend physically up the steps of the ark, but to be ready to receive Torah. For those who are guests, the Torah is what some would call the Hebrew Bible or the Old Testament. For us, it's just the Torah, the Testament. Believed by some to be given by God through Moses at Mount Sinai. Others believe it was edited and prepared over the years. Whatever our belief system, it is the closest document we have to the story of the Jewish people over 3,500 years. And so when a young man or woman reads from the Torah, they take their place among our Jewish people, reading from the same words, written in the same way, on the same scrolls as our people have done for thousands of years. Now, it's important to note that the system of vocalization in Judaism, it helps us differentiate between vowels and consonants, does not develop until later. That doesn't mean we didn't know how to pronounce words. We just hadn't developed the system of dots to make sure people read it correctly. So to read from the Torah is to read from a scroll written the same way it has been, going back thousands of years, which means not only did Gabe, like other bar and bar mitzvah students, have to learn to read from the Torah, but then he had to learn to read it with us taking all the vowels away. So he is reading Torah as young men, old men, and recently in the last 100 years, women would have been reading throughout our time. Also, it is more than just a physical act. To embrace Torah is to embrace all of those values and hopes and prayers that this temple, that our teachers, including myself, including Cantor Shoshana, including Angie, and including our Rabbi Emeritus, Rabbi Mecklenburger, have all hoped and prayed for over the years as Anna and Jeff have prepared their son for bar mitzvah. And so today he takes his place as he embraces Torah. A couple of things. First, a Torah scroll is written in the same way it's been for centuries. You're not going to get to see it up close, so know that the parchment is made by hand by a scribe. The ink is made by the scribe. Even the feather used to dip and curve each special letter of calligraphy. That ink is also, and that feather, prepared by a sofer, a scribe. First thing. Second thing, the Torah for us is a very sacred symbol. We ask Gabe to walk through the temple with the Torah. However, as a sign of giving an honor, in this time of additional health caution, we ask you not to reach out and embrace. Some people would embrace or touch the Torah or the prayer book. We ask you just to pay your honor to the Torah by watching Gabe and waving to him as he walks through the sanctuary if you wish. And so as we prepare to read Torah, first we turn to page 364. As we prepare to take the Torah from the ark, we're going to ask his mom and dad, Anna and Jeff, to open the ark. Normally we close the ark each time. Today, knowing that there are many, many people watching at home, we do as we've been doing on Friday nights, which means we leave it open so those watching at home can also see the scrolls and feel connected to us. Know that once we tell you to sit down, it's okay. We'll have you rise when the scrolls are taken from the ark and put back. However, now I ask you to rise as your parents gave open the ark, and as the rest of us rise, we take the Torah from the ark.
So
Lador Vador, from generation to generation, the Torah is strong because it has been passed from great-grandparents to grandparents to parents to children, young men, sons and daughters of the commandment who take their place among our people. As your parents pass this Torah to you, it contains more hopes and dreams, wishes and stories than can ever be told. Seated. We are reading from Ki Tavo in the Torah. It is near the end of Moses' life. It is part of the many different rules, teachings, passages, guidances, directions, instructions that God and Moses give the Jewish people so that when they get to the land of Israel, they'll know how to live with a new generation of leadership, the guidance and ways to live. We will hear more about this Torah portion and the very special ritual that continues until this day in Jewish communities a little later when Gabe offers his speech. For our first Aliyah to the Torah, we are going to call up your grandparents and your uncles, Julie, Peter, and Al Lazarus, Linda and Danny Caplan, to stand next to you for the reading of Torah. Everyone's good. Okay, perfect. All right. And you're good. That'll be the audio use. Here we go. We're staying on that for a minute.
Adonai Hamavara.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher b'habanu mikol ha'alim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten HaTorah.
Amen.
V'haya ki tavo el haaretz asher Adonai Elohecha noten lecha nahala v'rishta v'yashavta ba v'lakakta mereshit kol peri ha'adama asher tavi me'artecha asher Adonai Elohecha noten la v'samta v'atene v'halakta el hamakom asher yivhar Adonai Elohecha l'shaken shmo sham uvata el hakohen asher yihye bayamim hahem ve'amarta Eliv Higati Hayom LaAdonai Elohecha Kivati El Haaretz Asher Nishba Adonai La'avotenu La'tet Lanu.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam natan v'chamin. Baruch Atah Adonai noten HaTorah.
Amen. Shkach. Very nice. You guys can stay right here for one more aliyah. We're going to call up your mom and dad, Jeff and Anna, to come up right here next to you for the second aliyah to the Torah. And Shani, the second aliyah.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Vilaka hakohen hatene miadeha v'hiniho lifnei mizbah Adonai Elohecha ve'anita ve'amarta lifnei Adonai Elohecha arami oved avi vayered mitzrayma Vayagor Sham Bimte Meyat Vayahi Sham Lagoy Gadol Atsum Varav Vayareu Otanu Hamitzrim Vayanunu Vaynu Alenu Avodah Kasha
Kasha and aliyah, perfect.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam natan b'torchenu. Baruch Atah Adonai noten HaTorah.
Amen. Yamod. We call up Habachor Habar Mitzvah for Shlishi, the third aliyah of the Torah. Eretz Ben Anna Gabriel Moshe Jeff aliyah le Torah.
Baruch et Adonai Hamevora.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten HaTorah.
Amen. Here, I'll grab that for a minute.
V'nitzah el Adonai Elohe Avotenu. Vayishma Adonai et kolenu. Vayar et onyeinu ve'et amalenu ve'et lahotzenu. Vayotzienu Adonai mimitzrayim. Bayad hazakah uvizroah netuyah uvmorah gadol uvotot uvmavtim. Vayavienu el hamakom hazeh. Vayitain lanu et ha'aretz hazot eretz zavat halav udevash. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'hayeh olam nata v'tohenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. We are going to address the Torah. I'm going to ask the congregation to rise for the moment as we do so. Please be seated. What were we reading? That's the question. So we're going to learn about this special ritual in which Jews brought some of their offerings to the temple as a sign of thanks to God at the festival of Shavuot. Later, this becomes the central reading in the Passover Seder. That's another story. But for now, we're going to find out about this passage and this ritual that continues for over 3,000 years.
My Torah portion is Ki Tavo in the book of Deuteronomy. The Israelites were about to enter the Promised Land, a gift from God. Moses told the Israelites that once they entered their new land, to take their first harvest of fruits and put them in a basket and give it to God. This was to show their gratitude to God for taking them out of the desert and giving them land to start a new life. The Israelites were showing God gratitude for helping them. I think the Israelites believed God could hear their prayers because they were now in a new land and able to grow their own food. For this they were grateful. Being grateful or giving gratitude relates to my life in different ways. Just like when the Israelites gave thanks to God for giving them a new land and making their lives easier, I know many people have helped me to make my life easier. I am thankful for my parents because they give so much to me and do all the things a kid doesn't know how to do, like cook or do my laundry. I give back to them by being respectful, loving, and trying to make them proud of me. I hope today is one of those times. I'm also thankful for my sister Maya, even though she's always yelling at me because I'm always doing something that she doesn't like. During COVID, I've become even more thankful for things that I used to take for granted. For a long time, I couldn't see my friends as much as I wanted to outside of school, like having sleepovers like we used to. So I was really thankful for my phone and internet to stay in contact with my friends while we played a lot of video games. If I couldn't talk to my friends, things would have been very boring. I'm thankful for doctors and scientists who are making medicines and vaccines to help keep people safe. I'm thankful that my family and friends are all healthy. I show my gratitude by getting vaccinated and wearing a mask at school. Hopefully soon we will be able to go back to normal. Normally, I'd be having a really fun bar mitzvah party tonight with all my friends, but COVID has other plans. Even though it's a year later than expected, I am still grateful that we can be here today and that my friends and family are here to see it. I wish my many relatives from out of state, who I don't get to see very much, could have been here, but I know they are watching online, and I am thankful for that. I'm also very thankful that my Hebrew tutor, Angie, has remained patient with throughout all our online sessions each week. I'm thankful she is here today. I would also like to thank all of you for being here and making today special.
Now we're just going to wave at everybody at home. Yeah. I know. Wonderful job. I know that there are many people who would love to come up and give a speech and congratulate you and talk about your incredible sense of appreciation and gratitude that is inspiring. We're not going to let them all do that. Maybe another time. But we are going to ask your mom and dad to come up and to share a few words with you at this time.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for coming today and celebrating with Gabe. It has been a very long time coming, and no one knows that more than Gabe, as he said, 2 years of bar mitzvah, so I think that he may own the Guinness World Record for most tutoring sessions leading up to a bar mitzvah, which really only makes us prouder of Gabe that he's stuck with it. Obviously, as he said, his party last year had to be canceled in bar mitzvah, and again, his big party planned for tonight will have to be put on hold for another time. But it really could have been easy for him to get frustrated and, I don't know, just not wanting to carry on, but he did, and really without very much complaining, and he just stuck with it, and here we are. And I was listening to him. He said his 2 years of middle school choir he just couldn't stand, but I think it paid off today, so that's a good thing. And so, one thing about Gabe also, that we're a year behind the schedule here, is that he's also pretty much a full year younger than all of his buddies over there. His birthday is August 31st, and so he just turned 14. And so we had the choice with the school deadline of either pushing him forward into kindergarten, before he turned 5, or holding him back a year. And, naturally our first inclination was to hold him back for, obviously D1 football scholarship opportunities. But we decided to, I thought that was funny. We decided to push him ahead, and he's just been a mature kid ever since, and so he's on the path to Pascal High School class of 2025, and I guess I kind of have to admit that now that he is in high school, sometimes think maybe we should have held him back, because we would have had another year with him at home, so, it's, but anyway, he's a very well-adjusted young man, and he's never let his age or any of that affect him, even though some of his friends over there look like his much older brother. That's he's never let anything, affect him that way. And so he is sort of noticed one downside of being the youngest, now that some of his friends are turning 15, and that's that he's going to be the last one to drive, so he'll be expecting rides from you guys over there. So keep that in mind. But really, to me, the biggest reason that Gabe is just a lighthearted, fun, as they say, chill dude, is his mom, Anna, who ever since kids have been little just always keeps everybody happy and laughing. And I guess if we learned anything the last year and a half, that's kind of the most important thing. So.
Also, those who know Gabe know that he's a huge sports fan, and we're not still sure exactly how or why it happened, but he, maybe around the age of 4 or 5, he adopted the Green Bay Packers and the Toronto Blue Jays as his teams, and they still are. And making a little bit more sense is that he's a diehard supporter of the Texas Longhorns and the Dallas Mavericks. And in fact, this morning, he had a little bit more anxiety about how Texas was going to play today than his own bar mitzvah. But all in all, we really couldn't ask for a better son. Gabe is a wonderful student, a great big brother, a terrific friend, and just an all-around great dude. So mazel tov, Gabe. It's taken a little while, but you did it, and you did great. We love you.
So Gabe, I've got a little song for you. And I talked to your parents yesterday about which one we wanted to do. And this one is by Josh Nelson, and it's about you taking your place in our adulthood. We are gifts and we are blessings. We are His story in song. We are hope and we are healing. We are learning to be strong. We are words and we are stories. We are pictures of the past. We are carriers of wisdom, not the first and not the last. L'dor vador nagid God lecha. L'dor vador, we protect this chain. From generation to generation, l'dor vador, these lips will praise your name. Looking back upon the journey that we carry in our hearts, from the shadow of the mountain to the waters that would part. We are blessed and we are holy. We are children of your way, and the words that bring us meaning, we will have the strength to say. L'dor vador nagid God lecha. L'dor vador, we protect this chain. From generation to generation, l'dor vador, these lips will praise your name.
You are going to help me return the Torah to the ark. We're going to ask God's blessing upon you. So I'm going to give you the Torah one more time to hold. I'm going to ask your parents to help us with the crowns. And I'm going to ask the congregation to please rise. So Gabe, standing here in front of the ark, in front of these scrolls, dressed in white, preparing for the new year, your parents are right. You studied for a long time. And I can't imagine you were positive every minute. You'd be given credit for not being positive. But to think that you were mostly or all positive is remarkable. That is a gift. There is a midah, an attribute for self-improvement. In Hebrew, it's called hakarat tov. Appreciation doesn't really do it justice. It means constantly working our appreciation muscles so that we say, this is a gift, this is a gift. And how neat that you got a Torah portion, since that's something that makes you special, where the Jews would take the basket of their first fruit, the first of the harvest, in the spring, the breads, the grains, and they would run to the big temple in Jerusalem 2,500 years ago, and they'd say, thank you for getting us out of Egypt. Thank you for giving us a harvest, even if we had a bad year. Eventually, Jews stopped coming to the temple in Jerusalem, and the rabbi said, this prayer is too important. Even though we don't have a temple in Jerusalem, even though we don't bring our first harvest, we're going to take this passage and we're going to stick it in the Passover Seder. And it tends to be one of the most skipped parts of the Seder, which tells you something. The part of the Seder that's about, thank you for my gifts, is the part we all kind of like, let's go eat. But it's there. If you look at a traditional Passover Haggadah, you will see my ancestor was a wandering Aramean and brought me to this place, to this time, to bring my first. You'll be like, what? That's my Torah portion. So you can also lead part of the Passover Seder now. Just so you know, when everybody's hungry, you can be like, stop, got to appreciate things. That's how important that prayer is. Gratitude is a gift. Gratitude is a choice. And it takes people who say, hey, this is actually pretty good. I can't tell you, and I'm a rabbi, how many times I've been like, oh my gosh, they came, my power was off, they came, they fixed it, they did this, they did that. And then someone said to say to me, but it's great they did that. And then my immediate feeling is, you're right. You're right. This is a good thing. I should be grateful, right? It's very, very hard. It's sort of like you're thirsty, and someone gives you a drink and you go, no, I prefer this flavor. Not that we shouldn't have our preferences, but to constantly work our gratitude muscles. And you did that. You reminded us. You had a lot of reasons to be grumpy. 2 years bar mitzvah, parties that keep getting changed, world's going crazy, and you're like, hey, I just want to watch some games, play some basketball, hang out with my friends, have my bar mitzvah. Let's move forward. The country, the world, we're going to make it if we do, because people like you and your friends say, moving forward, giving thanks, remembering how lucky you are. So don't lose that. You're going to meet people who go, come on, you're young, you'll get over it. Don't get over it. Don't get over teaching people hakarat tov, because we have a choice. We have a choice to be grateful. And so we ask God's blessing upon you with words that come from the Torah, the words that have been said for thousands of years, words from me, from your parents, from your grandparents, everybody who wishes they could bless you. And so we bless you now and we say, Yevarecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chunecha. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God bless you and bring you strength and courage and never lose that ability to help other people, to lift their eyes up and see their blessings. May God protect over you. May God watch over you. May God continue to shower you with the blessings of family and friends and love and health and shalom, peace. Amen. We turn to page 374 as we continue with the prayers that return the Torah to the ark. we turn to page 586, remain standing before the open ark for our concluding prayers that begin with Aleinu.
Aleinu l'shaber v'ladon hakol, v'atek v'dulo li'oseh bereshit, shelo tzanu ki oyehu rasot, ve'lo zamanu kemishpechot ha'adamah, shelo zam chelkeinu kahem, ve'gor aleinu kechol hamonah. Anam yuchorim, u'mishpevavim u'modim, le'melech le'hamachim hakadosh baruch hu. V'nemar v'haya Adonai l'melech al kol haaretz, bayom hahu yireh Adonai echad, u'shemo echad.
We remain standing because we turn to page 598. We turn to the Mourner's Kaddish, this prayer that sanctifies God, that reminds us that we are part of a sacred story, even at our most challenging times, the times of loss. And those of you who are guests may say, now at a time of celebration on the Sabbath, the day of rest, we are remembering those who passed away. At every Jewish service, especially at times of celebration, we remember those on whose shoulders we stand. We remember those we have lost, and we pray that we will live in the ways in which they charted for us in their best examples. And so on the Shabbat, we take a moment of silence, and I ask you to think of all of those who guided you, parents, grandparents, teachers, those who inspired you and made sacrifices so we could stand here today and work to make the world a better place. Inspired by their example, page 598, the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabba, bi'alma divrach hiruteh, v'yamlich malchuteh, b'chaye echon u'vyom echon, u'vchaye d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agalal v'izman kariv v'imru, amen. Yehei shmei Rabba mevarach li'olam u'l'amei al-maya, yitbarach v'yishtabach, ba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitala, shmei d'kudsha b'richu, leila min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechemata, da'amiram bi'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Zichronam l'racha, may their memories inspire each of us and help us to be a blessing to others as we say, amen. You may be seated. Before we turn to our closing song and the blessing over wine and bread that sanctifies this day, I know that, again, many of you would love to come up and make a speech. You don't get to, but one lucky man does. Russ Schultz, the president of the congregation, representing our brotherhood, our sisterhood, our youth groups, our movement. And Gabe, I'm going to ask you to come up so that he can present you with some presentations, gifts, certificates from the congregation.
All right. Got a bunch of stuff and don't want to lose it all. Gabe, you did great. The other day when we talked, you told me how much you liked baseball. You hit a home run today. In fact, not only was it a home run, it was grand slam. You did wonderfully. It brought to mind that there's an old Yiddish term called Gavel. Gavel for, the translation would be mostly that bursting with pride. I think there's a lot of family members out here who are kvelling today because they're bursting with pride, how well you did. You made so many people proud, including the congregation. We are very proud of you. And first of all, I would like to give you the certificate that commemorates that you've been bar mitzvahed. I have a gift from the sisterhood, which are candlesticks, so you can celebrate Shabbat. There's a gift from Nifty, which is a $250 certificate that you can use for your trip to Israel. And our local youth group is planting a tree in Israel in your honor. MRJ, the Brotherhood, is giving you a book that says, "On the doorpost of your house." And the Tarrant County Jewish Federation has for you a tzedakah box for this. But all in all, you did a wonderful job today, and you should be very proud.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Kinds of goodies. Yes. Our closing song, a prayer for peace, for us, for all who are ill, for all who are broken, as we turn to this new year of promise and opportunity and teachings from new young men, our future.
Ose shalom bimroma, huyase shalom aleinu. Ose shalom bimroma, huyase shalom aleinu. Ose shalom bimroma, huyase shalom aleinu. Yase shalom, yase shalom, shalom aleinu. V'yoko Yisrael. Yase shalom, yase shalom, shalom aleichem. V'yoko Yisrael. Ose shalom bimroma, uyase shalom aleinu. Ose shalom bimroma, uyase shalom aleinu. Ose shalom bimroma, uyase shalom aleinu. Yase shalom, yase shalom, shalom aleinu. V'yoko Yisrael. Yase shalom, yase shalom, shalom aleinu. V'yoko Yisrael.
On your way out, don't go yet. There'll be a chance to congratulate the family, but also there will be bags with bagels and cream cheese, things to put in the bagel. You can take that with you. I guess you could stand outside and sweat a little, whatever you prefer to greet everybody. But you will see it on the way out. Before we do that, of course, we offer the blessing over wine and bread. For us, the wine is a sweet sign of the day, and we hope that our Shabbat day and our year to come will be as sweet as the wine. The challah, we say a blessing over bread before we partake of a meal, even when that meal is individually bagged. And so we thank you for being with us. For those of you at home, joining us from whatever state and city, feel free, even if on your diet, to go find a really good cookie and to bring it in front of your computer screen, wherever you're watching, so you can join us as well. I want to call up you, of course, Gabe, and your mom and dad and your sister to lead us in the blessing over wine and bread. And I'm going to ask the congregation to rise. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael asot Shabbat l'dorotam b'rit olam. The children of Israel will keep the Sabbath as a sign for all times, a covenant between each of us and the people of Israel. For in 6 days God made heaven and earth, and on the seventh day rested from the work of creation. Therefore, we pick up this glass, this sweet glass of wine, I think it might be juice, and we join together in Borei Pri Hagaf and the blessing over wine. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Borei Pri Hagafen. I'm going to take a sip. I'm pretty sure it's juice. If not, So, okay, go for it. It's new. We poured it today. There you go. And let's ask your sister, want to grab that challah? Sure you do. Sure, you can do this. Sorry, no, we're good. Lift up that challah so everybody can see it. Oh, look at that. And now, did you bake that, Maya? My help bake it. Thank you, Anna. Wonderful. It is beautiful, and we're going to join together in the motzi, the blessing over bread. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Mazel tov. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. A wonderful day. Thank you, everybody.